Hi, my name is Ray Wayne Gonzalez, and welcome to Things You Pretend to Know About, where we talk about things that you think you might know, but really you have no idea.
Things you pretend to know about. Things you pretend to know. Things you pretend to know about. Things you pretend to know.
Hey everyone, welcome to Things You Pretend to Know About. Today on the show, we talk about being minorities in a white town. I have my special guest, Alex Givan, on for this. She is someone I went to middle school and high school with, and I've always thought the best of her. She's always been so kind and beautiful. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you absolutely should, because it's ridiculous. She's so stunning, and she's so smart, and I just think the best of her, and everyone that I know from our town thinks similarly. So yeah, we talk about our town and how it's pretty whitewashed, to say the least. But that being said, everyone is so kind, and it's such a great feeling coming from that town, but all at the same time, it is problematic. I know that's the word of the year, but this fits. You know, reflecting back from leaving the town and moving to different cities, and we both understood that things that we've done, but also things that other people have done growing up in our town have affected us in certain ways, and we have realized that the things that people were saying weren't always so great, and the way that people reacted to certain things weren't always so great. So yeah, it was great just talking to her about everything growing up in that way. And I know I don't have much to say regarding race and being such a minority in the town, because I am half white. I am white presenting. I am a Puerto Rican Latina Latina girl at the time, but I didn't get much effect from it, other than people calling me Mexican when I wasn't, which, you know, isn't that chill, but also not that much of an insult. So yeah, she had a lot to say on it. She's such an eloquent speaker. Like, I'm sorry you have to suffer from me being so mumbly. And in the beginning, the mics are a little off, so I am a little quiet, but she does the talking for me great. So don't even worry about it. I think you guys are really going to like it. So thanks. I love you. Enjoy. Bye.
I'm just going to start recording.
Awesome.
I think we're good.
Okay.
So hi. Welcome to our podcast, even though you've been here for about an hour today. But so we were talking about being a minority in a white town, and we're both from a white town, basically.
Yes.
Putnam Valley, New York, which is like undeniably a white town. If anyone from Putnam Valley is going to listen to this and dispute it. But so you grew up in the Bronx.
I did. I was born and raised in Riverdale, and also kind of near the Cross County area. But in 4th grade, I moved up to Putnam Valley, and then in 6th grade, I started to actually attend Putnam Valley school system. So jumped right into middle school.
So was it like a culture shock a little bit? I mean, obviously it must have been.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think I was very nervous about fitting in and getting everyone to like me and know me.
Yeah.
But I made friends pretty quick that are still my friends today, and were my friends all throughout high school.
Yeah.
But I do think I felt different instantly. I mean, it's kind of hard not to.
Right.
When you look so different from everybody else that you're going to school with. But for the most part, nobody really made me feel super different or out of place or anything like that. So that was nice. Not intentionally, at least.
Yeah. And also you were so young, probably.
Yeah.
You didn't even, because I was born and raised in Putnam Valley.
Yep.
But so I never even noticed anything.
Right.
I mean, obviously I'm white presenting, and half white. So nothing really seemed different to me. And
Right.
I'm sure, I don't know how you felt being a black woman or a black girl. Going in as a black woman in
Yes.
4th grade. No, the 6th grade. But But yeah, like even in your neighborhood, did you even notice anything like going in from Riverdale to Putnam Valley or?
Well, there's no sidewalks in Putnam Valley.
Which is insane.
No sidewalks and street lamps. That was interesting. But not really in the neighborhood. It was obviously very different, like coming from an urban community and moving up here and being kind of rural and spaced out. But I was a little shocked at the lack of diversity, but everyone seemed pretty nice. So I was like, this is going to go fine. Like, this is going to be a breeze.
Right.
But I think even like meeting some of my friends' families and parents, like I would get nervous. Like I'd be like, what if they don't like me? Or like, what if they have thoughts about Black people that they don't know how I'm going to act or how my family's going to be? So that kind of gave me like a little bit of anxiety when I was like kind of young. And nothing crazy ever happened, but it did, like first meetings were like a thing for me. I'm like, I wonder if they know I'm Black. Like I wonder if they're going to react to me being Black and being like really close with their child. But
yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel most of your friends that I know from Putnam Valley, most of your girlfriends are white. Right?
Yeah, I had, of course, like a bunch of friends at Putnam Valley, and everyone was really great in the grade. But I'm still close with about 10 or girls from Putnam Valley that I would still consider my best friends today, which is great that we have those really meaningful friendships, but they're all white. So it's even very different from the crew that I have in college. Like there's a very, very stark contrast.
I wanted to talk about that because because I've noticed, because I've been following obviously very closely on social media, from Putnam Valley to University of Maryland, right?
Yes.
Is where you went to?
Yep.
Like you seem to have all white friends versus all Black friends. Like
Yes.
how did that just like revive you a little, or?
Honestly, surrounding myself with the people that I surrounded myself with in college helped me find myself, and I definitely credit them with that, or helping me with that journey and that process. I also have a lot of people that I know that are like me. They were born and raised in predominantly white communities, and they came to college and they had this, I guess every experience that a African American or Black person has is a Black experience, but it was a very different cultural experience than I had in middle school and in Putnam Valley. But I think that was partially because I was seeking, that was a void, and I was seeking to feel like I've belonged 100%, and not to say that my friends treated me any differently because of the color of my skin, but there's certain things that like conversations that were never had because my friends just didn't have to think about some of the things I had to think about.
Right, like who are you going to talk about your like hair with?
No one.
Right, like, no one.
If anybody from high school listens to this podcast, they'll remember I like permed my hair. I came into school with my hair permed, which for me straightens my hair because I have really coarse textured hair. And I just did that, I guess, because I didn't know how to do my natural hair, and I wasn't surrounded with anybody who knew how to do my natural hair, style it, which still proves to be difficult to this day for me. But two, because all my friends were white, and they straightened their hair every day, and they had long, flowing, beautiful hair, and I was like, I don't look like them, but I'm gonna try to be as close as I can.
Right.
So like.
Which sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I wouldn't really wear braids a lot, which would have like probably helped my hair grow and helped my hair be really healthy, especially because I was an athlete. Like I was always sweating, and it just.
I quit. We did volleyball together, and I quit on varsity because I was like, she's like, basically you're too good, and I cannot play on the same team with you.
I
was
remember.
a bench warmer. Yeah, for sure.
It was fun though. We had a
super
fun stint.
Yeah.
But yeah, even I look back at pictures and I'm like, holy crap! Like, why is my hair like that?
Right.
But it wasn't something that I knew about. It wasn't something I could really talk about, especially not having insecurities with my hair, because it's like there's no fix for it. I don't know how to do anything else. So definitely that was a big thing all throughout high school, all up until high school, that I struggled with, and that I think in college I really got like a grip on that. and was confident in myself, and I went natural, and like I don't perm my hair anymore, and I wear it however I want to wear my hair. That is how I wear it, and
Right.
that's
Yeah.
it's a feeling of relief, really.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, so moving from the Bronx, how did your family and more so your parents like adapt, or do you know how they feel about the town? I know they still are in the town.
So they are still in the town. I think that looking back, they're really excited to move up here. Great community. The school system's awesome. We got a great education. I think looking back, I'm not sure if they would have made the same choice. Not because they don't love Putnam Valley. They're the biggest fan. Like, we had a really great experience, and they're still there now. But I do think that moving at that point in my life, when and my brother, like our formative years when we were like establishing self-esteem, and there's certain cultural things that people grow up with that we didn't miss out on.
Yeah.
Even it's funny because I had basically family, but I go to church in White Plains, and I've gone there since birth. And it's a Baptist church, predominantly African American. And my church friends, peers, they're like my sisters, but they're similar in age. There's so many things from the years of like middle school and high school that they did and know about. I have no clue. Like,
Right.
if I'm listening maybe to Kelly Clarkson and watching Lizzie McGuire, and they're
Yeah.
they're watching In Living Color and A Different World, and I missed all of that,
Right.
and I can't really get it back. There's some references now that are made, and they're
No. I totally understand
Yeah,
that.
I'm
As a Latina, I get that. Being best friends with Kaylin Pibel,
Yeah.
we fought about this because I'm like, I'm Puerto Rican. Like, so recently she found out she's fully Latina.
Oh, okay.
And she is obviously fully Latina. you
Yeah.
know? But up until recently, we were the same ethnicity. Like,
Right.
she was halfway, but she's like, she doesn't say she's more Latina, but she brings up the fact that she culturally
Yes.
is.
Yes.
And how she was like, basically she has more references like in the Latin world, and I get so mad. But really, when she listens to this, I'm gonna be so mad. 'Cause she's gonna be like,
I
fuck
told
you,
you.
like I'm right. But she's right. I mean, like, I grew up with my Latin family. I grew up with that side, and I grew up with my dad. He doesn't walk. He just like merengues down the down the hall. You know, he doesn't. He's like always dancing, always singing, like wild. Like,
Yeah.
everyone who knows my father knows he's crazy.
That's amazing.
In that sense. But yeah, like I totally, because like I grew up watching Lizzie McGuire.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't watch telenovela. Like, you
Right.
know, I totally get that.
And I was fine with that, and I didn't notice it until I got to college, and there was just some conversations I couldn't be a part of. There was some, I thank my friends for kind of catching me up to speed and like filling me in of years of stuff that I missed out on, and passively too, not like in a structured way,
good,
but I'm
yeah.
just like kind of like listening and understanding conversations and seeing a different perspective. And it's funny, that game that came out, Black Card Revoked, I played it. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's basically this game where it asks you questions about if you're like within Black culture, you'll know. You
Okay.
kind of have to be, not have to be Black, but if you're Black and you are in our culture, you'll probably know the answers. And if you get it wrong, your Black card's revoked.
Right.
It's very, very funny. I
Yeah,
think
I'm sure.
everyone should honestly play it.
Okay.
But I was playing it for the first time about 2 weeks ago with some friends that I met in Maryland.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, I was left
Black
and
card
right, revoked. And it was because it was a lot of stuff that were in those years, whether
Yeah.
it's songs that I didn't
Yeah.
know, or shows that I didn't know, or traditions that I just no clue.
Right.
And I was like, I mean, I'm so proud of my Blackness, and I'm
Yeah.
so confident now.
And
But I
everyone
was
has
like,
a different experience.
Yeah.
But that, yeah.
so I didn't feel bad or anything, but I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is a really good indicator to show me how much like I kind
Right.
of missed out on a bunch of things. So
Yeah, I mean, there's not even like in Putnam Valley, going back to the school, like there's not even, I can't, on the top of my head, I can't think of any teachers or staff that was of color other than people of Latin
language
descent.
departments.
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought of that. But
Ooh, sorry, PV. I hope you're not listening, but
I certainly never had an African American woman as a teacher.
no. I mean, I remember one in elementary school, but
I never had.
not even a lunch aid.
No. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I never even thought of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great stuff, great education, but I never.
No, I genuinely, I'm trying really hard right now to
Me
think.
too, because I'm hoping that's not the case. But I really think now that I'm thinking about it,
But
that
no,
it.
yeah, no. I really can't think of anyone. But
Huh.
yeah, and honestly, I used to tell this to people. I used to say, like, yeah, I can count the black people in my school.
Oh, yeah, on my
probably
hand.
one hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my grade, at least, like I would always say that.
Yeah.
When I went to college and I would explain my background to my friends and my peers, like I was like, I can name them. I know their names still because I'm like, hey, I see you and you see me.
Yeah.
If,
oh, yeah.
if things go left.
I hear you.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I know, and same with, I mean, Puerto Rican people. I mean, I know there's definitely different Latin people, and
Yeah.
there's definitely a clique of Latin people that I just didn't fit in with because I didn't speak Spanish,
Right.
so they didn't know I was Spanish.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's mostly like Italian Americans,
Yeah.
honestly, and just white people,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, but that being said, I think a lot of people from Putnam Valley, since it is so white, didn't realize what they were saying to people who were different, because
Yeah.
people, like, what got me a lot when thinking back, because I'm sure I even said it, like thinking back to talking about black people in their school, like you and maybe Jelani. I know this is a lot about Jelani. Can't remember his last name. Sorry, Jelani. Nobody knows his name. But they would be like, oh, they're an Oreo, like, or like, oh, they're the whitest black person I know.
Oh, that was, and it was it was an insult, and I took it as a compliment because I was ignorant at the time. But, oh, she's an Oreo was something I commonly got. Also, you're the prettiest black girl I know.
Hate
I will
that.
say this louder. Like that, never say that. That's
Never.
not a compliment.
It's not
And
at
I
all.
think that, or you're so pretty for a black girl, or you're the only black girl I
And
would
people
date.
said that to you.
Oh, absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you're not, I don't really date black women, or I wouldn't be with a black woman, but you're the only one I
Yes.
would.
A friend and I were talking about this. Honestly, because I talk about you all the time. I think you're like the best, like
Thank
gorgeous,
you.
and like so smart. And but I was talking about this with a friend and the other day who knows you, and we were like, Alex Givan is so gorgeous, and people would be like, oh, you know, I would date Alex if she wasn't black.
Yeah.
Like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Absolutely.
Just don't be racist.
Or if my hair was different. I remember there was like one comment that was made, and it's funny because these are my friends. Like while I was in high school, I never had any bad feelings, malintent or bad feelings. I know they weren't trying to be malicious. And I didn't take it as that. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful I was ignorant then because I think I really, really would have struggled.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
But even more thankful that once I got in an environment where I mean, there was diversity. I was with people of color and I kind of came into myself. I'm thankful I was able to reflect and be like, that was not okay. And so I'm much more vocal, which I think people are surprised when they see that because they're like, she was never like that in high school and in middle school. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I kind of was like, one, didn't realize how offensive some of the stuff that people were saying was. But yeah, there was, I remember my really, really good friend said something like, how he would date me if my hair was different or something like that, or that he didn't like my hair. Just little stuff that hurts. It hurts your feelings.
And it's not like you have the thick skin when you're a teenager or in middle school to be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
Everything you say, you take to heart.
Yeah.
I remember in 7th grade, I mean, this is me being an asshole. I remember in 7th grade, who I'll name who this is later, but this kid was like, I don't know why, he was just being really mean. And he was like, you're like so fucking ugly, like you're like, he was like saying like, I'm a lesbian, which is fine. Like,
You're like,
but at the
okay.
time, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not a lesbian, you know?
Yeah.
And like I had like a mustache, and I was like, well, you're Asian, like as if it was an insult, but like not
Yeah.
that I was saying it as an insult. I think looking back, I was saying it to not be mean. Like I was saying like to not give anything mean back to him.
Right.
So I just looked at the first thing about him and was like, you're Asian. Like, but like that's an asshole thing to say probably. Just because like why you even bring it up? And he got so mad because honestly, because I think he didn't
Tried to
want
distance
be
himself
seen
from that.
as Asian.
Yeah,
You know, he could have
absolutely.
just been like, yeah, bitch, I am.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, we're in 7th grade. He wouldn't have called me a bitch probably, but
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't conscious, but I think that I don't necessarily know if I tried to distance myself from my blackness. I think I was just kind of a product of my environment once I moved up to Putnam Valley.
Yeah.
But I definitely tried to do things and tried to appear in ways that people wouldn't call me quote unquote ghetto, because that's a word that our
Is
peers
used.
tossed around.
Yes.
Didn't understand the meanings, didn't understand the connotations that have when you kind of link that with race, like you're calling someone ghetto just because of the color of their skin. But I remember like I didn't even like Hollister. I just would wear it because everyone else wore it. And like
too.
every time I got $20, I would go get like a little tight Hollister shirt, and it was like
Me too.
terrible. It was a terrible cycle
Oh
of
my
pain.
god! I know. My jeans were like $80, and
Yeah.
they're like right over my vagina.
Yeah. It was not, I think that in Putnam Valley, if you're a minority, and not, like we were talking about before, how it's kind of trendier, as crazy as that sounds, to be of color or to be a minority now.
Yeah.
But back when we were in school, that was not
At all.
not the trend at all.
No. How can it even be a trend?
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely
No, but
cooler.
now
it's cooler
peop-
to be different,
Yeah.
and that's different
Yeah.
for Putnam Valley.
Yes.
To clarify.
But yeah, I don't think I think some minorities, and even looking back now, I feel like people tried to distance themselves a little bit, at least from their whatever.
Yeah, just like don't bring it up.
Yeah.
You know,
And
like
it's just like-
I was always so like proud of my culture.
Yeah.
Of that side of my culture. But I mean, and I know it would piss me off when people called me Mexican.
Yeah,
But it's like
yeah.
it shouldn't have
Yeah.
at all.
It's ignorant
shouldn't.
because you don't even know, like you're not even inquiring to figure out if I'm actually Mexican descent.
Right. It's like, oh, your last name's Gonzalez, so
Right.
you're Mexican.
Right.
But, you know, it's not like, I'm not like mad at them for not taking the time out to like know that like Gonzalez with a Z is Puerto Rican and Gonzalez
Right.
with an S is Mexican. Like, I'm mad because like, for one, like I was saying earlier, you're acting like Mexican is an insult.
Right.
But just as I was saying, maybe subconsciously, you're Asian,
yeah.
as an insult.
Yeah.
But I don't mean to like try to like make myself sound good, but I do genuinely think I was just trying to like go at him as
Yeah.
nothing, like nothingness, like no insults or anything.
Yeah.
But it did come off like I was being a racist. Too,
Yeah.
So sorry for that.
If you're listening.
If you're listening.
Yeah. I remember there was a guy, I only dated one guy, so that's him. But there was a girl that liked him and basically said something about me being, that was one of the things that actually got to me. Most things didn't get to me growing up, either because I was ignorant and I just like didn't read into them, or because I was just like, they're my friends. They don't really mean, you know. I definitely have a couple of people that like, oh, I'm not racist. My best friend is black. And like growing up,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, she's not racist. I'm her best friend.
That's my girl.
Yeah. And looking back, I'm like, that's so dumb.
Yeah.
But she said something about like, she's not even pretty. She's black or something like that. And like we were dating, or like somehow I had heard that she had said something like that. And I was like, it's really mean. Like that's just
mean.
really, really
Yeah.
mean. And yeah.
No, I mean, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. And I was about to say something, but it was an asshole thing to say. But I think, like, whatever, fuck it. No one was going to listen to this. I feel like a lot of people went for like the very American looking, like very not average, like very like
Eurocentric standards of beauty. Yes.
Not average. I didn't mean to say average, but like very like exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
See, you're much more eloquent speaker than I am. But yeah, so it was. I mean, I had only one boyfriend too. Antonio Martinez, dated him. Shouts out, first kiss. But after him, it was like I dated Andrew O'Grady for like forever. And he was just like a super, super Irish guy.
Yeah.
I think he was just genuinely a kind person and didn't really like see race. And obviously I'm not, I don't look at it. Like, I know you said you could tell, like, I look as if I could be a person of color, but this doesn't always come off that way initially.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I know a lot of people didn't look at me and was like, whoa, like,
right.
Ray Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I get that. And, like, I feel like most people went for the white, all-American, small-town girl-looking person, which is fine, you know, because that's what people know.
Yeah, especially if you're born and raised in Putnam Valley, and that's like, and also there were just so many beautiful women that fit that, you know, or girls at that time, then we grew up into women in high school, but there were so many people that fit that
mold.
That's obviously who they're gonna go for. It's funny because I was talking about this yesterday. I just spent the weekend with my best friends from middle school and from high school. And it's so dumb, but looking back, this was like a thing. Now we're like woke in 2018, and now like I would hate for someone to smack my butt without consent. Like, that's crazy.
Okay.
But in 6th grade, do you remember the boys used to do that at the locker? Like,
oh yeah.
And that was a thing. Like, if a guy liked you, he would like tap your butt at the locker, like, and run down the hallway, and we'd all be like, oh my God, are you guys dating? Like, does he love you? And I think that was 6th grade. And then we grew out of that.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Thank God.
But never once. That was like not a thing. Like, no one would ever do that to me. That would be like, why would you ever?
I also feel like it's a thing where, as in getting older, bringing a black girl home or a black guy home isn't kosher in Putnam Valley. No. I mean, like, I'm not saying everyone is racist at all in the town. I know a lot of families who aren't racist. I know a lot of families who don't think they're racist. Yeah. But, just from what I've seen, what I've heard.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
I remember, like, looking back on, like, in 6th grade, I was sad I didn't get my butt tapped, which is so stupid. But all my friends did, and, like, I didn't because no one thought of me like that. Because I was popular, but in of, like, oh my God, Alex is cool. She's the best. She's our best friend.
She's my best friend.
Right.
She's
like, I would never, like.
Girlfriend,
But in terms of, like, dating, I remember being, like I said, I only had one boyfriend in high school, and he was white. And I was very nervous to meet his family. They were kind people. But I did not feel comfortable.
Right.
I never felt comfortable.
Yeah.
I do think that it had to do with my skin color. I never felt completely. I don't know. It was definitely something that I took with me to the rest of my life, and like will never be in a situation, whether it's because of my skin or because they just genuinely don't like me, but that's a huge thing for me now. Moving forward, I'm like, your parents have to make me feel at home and like welcome, and it's interesting, but that was definitely a thing. Like, you don't.
And it's so interesting because I feel like most people from Putnam Valley, I mean, my father's from the city and my mom's from Long Island. But most parents and most families are from the Bronx.
Yeah.
So it's and a lot of those people I feel like are kind of, I don't know. It's very strange that people from that area or parents from that area would be more I feel weird saying racist, but somewhat prejudiced.
Yes, and have preconceived notions.
Yes.
Because there's only a very small handful of people in Putnam Valley, which is the tricky part, that I actually would be like, you're a racist. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
exactly. I
Which
think
is
it's
the
a lot of
trickiest
subconscious.
thing
Yeah.
because you generally care about me as a person. You generally care about my family. You love us Givans as a, you know, as a group. But you have preconceived notions, and I see it in the way you speak to me. I see it in the way that your Facebook posts. I see it. I see the way you think, and it's offensive, but you have no malintent. And I think that's really, really tricky when people genuinely like you, but just have.
I know it's really okay. So this is a crazy story, but my father's stock full of crazy stories, and my boyfriend Dane was saying how him and my father were in the car together one day, and my dad was saying how his boss, he found out, was a neo-Nazi, but my dad doesn't really know how to say things sometimes, like, no offense, Dad, but he doesn't know how to execute things. Where I can hear my dad, like, I know exactly what he's saying.
Right.
And that's why I was able to interpret what my dad was saying moving forward.
Right.
To what Dane was confused with, but he was like, but you know, like, not all Nazis are like terrible people. And then what he was saying was, he treated my father like normally.
Absolutely.
He'd be like, that fucking, like, spick, you know, on the side of the road.
Absolutely.
He knew my dad. He was kind to my dad.
Right.
So what he was saying is, like, he knew him as a person. I'm sure if you saw a black person, like, I'm not saying
No, I
Nazi,
absolutely know what
but
you mean.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's why I was like, oh, no, I knew what he meant. Like, this is what he meant when I was telling Dane, because Dane was like, I don't really know how to react to this.
Yeah.
But, like, and, like, that's just, it's kind of, I mean, maybe it's different as someone of color, like,
Right.
Or my dad is definitely someone of color, like, taking, like, saying that,
Yeah.
and being a white person being like, no, Nazis are innately bad inside out.
Right.
Yeah, true. You're totally right. They are awful people.
Right.
But, like, it's going back to what you were saying, like so and so loves you and is so kind to you, and you're one of her best friends, but then she says some racist shit, or like has some racist rhetoric on Facebook, and you're like, that's offensive,
and it's conflicting.
I know you love me, but it's
Right.
conflicting. Exactly.
And I think
I hope people listening to this don't take this wrong. Like, my dad is not racist or a Nazi.
I think that also, I just have a really strong family unit. Like, I was raised in the church, and I was really serious about my academics, and really athletic, and very active, and very generally kind. If I was ever unkind to you, I'm so sorry.
I mean, I'm sure we all were in high school.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm sure there's like a time or two that, like, I could have been more kind.
Yeah, same.
But I think that helped. But I think that if I know there's a handful of African American people in our grade, and some had different backgrounds than I did, and they were treated differently than I was.
Yes.
And, like, I'm thinking of them right now, and they were, and it kind of hurts me that I didn't really befriend them more, because they were just like me. They were there to get the education, also nice, just a different background, but people talked about them differently. People
Ghetto.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're ghetto, but you're not ghetto.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Just excluded them in different ways, and they were my friends. I always treated them with kindness, but there's probably so many times I could have opened my mouth and been like, you know what, you're not going to talk about that person like that.
Right.
And just called them on their crap.
You're both living in this white town. How is she not ghetto and you're not?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, yeah. It's crazy. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like, not to name names on this podcast. I just want to be like, people are so mean to this person.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just like, and I don't want to keep going back to the parents, but it really is like the upbringing, and it's your surroundings.
Yeah.
Obviously, but I think a lot of it is upbringing.
Yeah.
And, like, if there was no, prejudice, or
Right.
if you talk about someone a certain way, your child's going to talk about a certain group a certain way as
Right.
well. And, like, I think there's a lot of that because there's just like I think we were built on white people, Putnam Valley. Like I don't
Yeah.
think like
Yeah.
like if you look back at people who've been in Putnam Valley for years and years and years, which is somehow a thing, but they're all white.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it is growing a lot. I think there are more minorities. The more I go into town, like the more neighbors that move in, I just do see more
Yeah,
minorities
which is beautiful.
coming in, which is great. Yeah, because more and more people are coming in from the Bronx and
Yeah.
from Yonkers and from all these places with more of a minority. But you said you were kind of worried for your sister going in. I don't know if you want to talk about that. But.
No, for sure. My little sister's entering high school. She was not born in the Bronx. She was born and raised in Putnam Valley her entire life. And the experiences that she has had are very similar to the experiences that I had. But also in this weird time, I mean, she is dealing with the Trumpism. So
Right.
we didn't
I didn't
have
think about
that.
that.
People were not, if there were racists in Putnam Valley or if any of my friends had racist ideologies, they were not blatant with it.
Right, they didn't talk about it.
They didn't feel empowered to be blatantly racist.
No one even talked about how they didn't like Obama.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
That was between
there,
people who didn't like Obama.
right.
Yeah.
You just kind of kept that at home and they just weren't as vocal. And emboldened. And she is dealing with a whole different set and group of people that, first of all, they're young. They don't really even know all of the policies and all of the history and all of the context and why people could potentially be offended by some of their views.
Yeah.
But they're taking what their parents say to them and they're spewing it. And it's a lot more, there's a lot more hatred in some of the things that are being said.
Yeah.
I remember she told me that her friends who were not black were using the N-word. And I said, you need to explain to them, even though this is not something I did. I get very fired up now because I think back about what I should have
But
done.
thank God she has you.
Yeah.
You know?
I told her she has to, when they say that's not appropriate. So I guess she had said it to one of her friends and he was like, well, why can you say it? And like, if you can say it, I can say it. And it was so hard for me to try to articulate it to her. And it hurt my heart kind of because she was like, well, that kind of makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? She was kind of like,
Yeah.
well, if I'm saying it, why can't he, you know?
Right.
And she reached out to me because she was like, Sissy, how
What
do
do
I
yeah.
explain that? And she's much more woke than I am. She did this whole post when she was like, I don't know, like 6th grade or 7th grade about.
I think I remember you reposting it.
Oh my God, I was so proud of her. But people had been making fun of her hair. And she was fed up. And, you know, they have Instagram now. We had MySpace, but I was a little bit more timid. And also, honestly, I think I was a little more ignorant than she is. She's very brilliant.
Sure, yeah.
And she called out her friends. She was like, stop with the hair jokes. Like, no, don't call me nappy. Don't, like, this is my hair.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this is how I'm going to wear my hair. Like, it's not on your head. It's not ghetto. I wear, like, she really, like.
Right.
And she was in 6th grade. And I was like, or 7th or something like that.
And
I was
then
just
these
like,
girls
wow.
are going to get older and want to put braids in their hair.
Oh, absolutely. And, like, it's going to be the whole thing.
These are the girls that go to the Bahamas and put braids in their hair
Yeah.
and come back with beaded hair.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I'm concerned for her for sure.
Yeah.
Especially as she enters high school and boys become, you know, a part of the mix and she'll go through the same things that I went through. I don't think I had my first kiss until I was 16.
Yeah.
And like my other friends were, you know, kissing boys in 6th grade. And I was like,
yeah.
I didn't have my first kiss until 16. And I always felt, my mom, I did a great job of making sure I always felt beautiful.
Yeah.
So that was important. But yeah, that had to have affected me some, like my self-confidence or
Oh, yeah.
it just gets to you.
I lied that I had my first kiss when I didn't.
It was hard. That was hard. And that's something that I'm a little nervous with about her, like for her, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about like Trump era. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are, I don't know, but I'm sure there are a lot of kids like vocally talking about Trump because
Yeah.
a lot of their parents vocally love Trump in
Yeah.
Putnam Valley. There's Trump signs in Putnam Valley.
absolutely.
It's crazy. But it's also not that crazy because that's what people voted for.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could be wrong. Like, someone fact check me, but I'm pretty sure that we are red county. Putnam County is a red county.
I would not be surprised.
it, yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So, like, I mean, I'm sure the teachers don't like them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. But yeah,
I think I would have really, really struggled, and I'm not as woke as my sister, for lack of a better term,
Right.
but I think I really would have struggled, and I kind of struggle with it now, knowing that so many of my friends' parents who love me and who I love, like, they'll be a part of my life forever.
Yes,
I text
yeah.
them Happy Mother's Day and they're really were like second parents to me growing up. I know they voted for him, and I know they support him. And I know that even through these terrible, what has it been, like 2 years so far, they still support him. And aren't vocal with it, because at this point, if you're vocal with it, it's kind of like embarrassing and crazy. But to me, Trump represents everything, like the anti me. He's not, he would never be an advocate for a black woman. All of his policies that are enforced.
besides Omarosa, but
Yeah. Even she got kicked
I know
out.
she knows.
Yeah. But for me to have, and now my friends from high school are of voting age, and I know some of them also voted for Trump. For me, if you voted for Trump, you were voting against my identity. And I now that I'm very confident with myself, and I understand you don't have to be friends with someone forever, and you don't have to, hold on to something forever if it doesn't work. I was okay with letting some people go that, like, if you don't understand how, to me, I could be very conflicted with you calling me your friend, but being a vocal supporter, then that's on you. And I'm
Right.
not going to take a whole bunch of time, which is also something I told my sister. Somebody, people were asking her questions about either her hair or some issue related to her race. And I said, it's not your job. It is not your burden or your job to explain these things. I mean, you can try to help to the best of your ability, but when people come and continue to ask you questions and you become the black guide for all black questions of, like, moral conscience, you're 14. It's not your burden.
Right, like,
it's not your burden. You don't even have all, you don't even have all the answers.
You don't know who you are yet.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are as a person yet.
Yes.
Let alone your ethnic
Right.
identity.
Yeah. And I'm like, don't let that weigh you down. Like, don't feel like you always have to provide an answer. And if people think you're rude for it, then, like, okay. But they should be learning these outside. You guys have Google. You
Google
can
it.
learn
Yeah.
every
Right.
in
Or,
my
like,
feelings challenge, all the things. Like, just Google.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. She probably is more woke.
Oh, yeah.
For what, going by what you're saying, because she has Instagram.
Yes.
She has Instagram. Came out when I was in, I think, a junior in high school.
Yeah.
And, like, and people actually used it when I was in college. Like, so, and she has Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I don't know if she used Twitter, but, and that's where I learn everything. Like, I have been in social, political debates with people I don't know.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
On the internet. And it's nothing I would learn from people that I grew up with. Or not everybody. Most of my dearest friends, I don't mean to sound so anti Putnam Valley. Like,
No.
I don't want to, because, like,
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I loved my upbringing there. I honestly, if I could go back, I wouldn't change it. I would still grow up in Putnam Valley, and I would be happy with that and comfortable with that.
No, same.
But I would just be so much more vocal.
Me too.
And so much more progressive with even helping the school system, like, administration get some stuff in place that would make people of color feel more at home.
Yes.
Like, I think about that now, and this is always something that I've wanted to do, but haven't. I'm in DC now, and I just don't have the same connections and honestly, like, the same time, which sounds like a terrible excuse, but
No, I get it. Yeah.
they need the curriculum. They
Yeah.
need some sort of course, some sort of training. And I know people say, like, diversity training sometimes is, like, pointless and, like, but they, at least going into high school, going into middle school, they absolutely need some sort of training that's like, hey, guys, this is offensive and this is not offensive. And if you didn't learn this at home,
Yeah.
you're learning it here.
Yeah. I think would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we had a great education. It should absolutely be part of the curriculum, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I had. Yeah,
and maybe they have. So shout out to PV if you have something like that in place.
We definitely need more than like the video on how to put a tampon in. You know what I mean? Like they definitely should have at least group discussions or like open discussions like this where people can learn, because I feel like there definitely was a wall of ignorance growing up. And like even like I was personally in Putnam Valley, I was friends with like the nerds or like the like I was friends with. There's cliques in Putnam Valley. There's definitely cliques, but everyone is generally nice to each other.
Yes, that's true.
Which is great. And, you know, everyone was kind to me. But I was definitely friends with, like, the brainy guys and, like, you know, whatever. And my girlfriends were not super popular, but they weren't unpopular either. Just like, I know, there was a middle ground. Yeah. But even my super brainy guy friends, and I had a group of guy friends who in class of 2011, and they would say like racist things and homophobic things and like all this stuff, and like I just, you know, it's just like, oh, you're like smart, so it's fine. But it's like they were just as ignorant as everybody else. Right. You just don't. You need to get out of the bubble of Putnam Valley and Putnam County to realize, like, oh shit, and I did too. Yeah. Like I had to realize, like, certain things I was saying, I would never say racial slurs, but maybe I'm sure I did say like, oh, she's like a white black person. Like that's wrong. I'm pretty positive I probably said that at least once. Yeah. And like that's like a terrible thing to say, but like I definitely have had a lot of self-reflection, like living in New York City, like leaving my bubble of Putnam Valley and New Paltz. Like New Paltz is, I could go on a rant about New Paltz. Love the people from New Paltz, but it's also very problematic because it's a lot of white people who think who talk for people of color. Got it. When no one asks them. Got it. To talk for them.
I was in a living and learning program when I first entered college, and we did a lot of community service. It was based on service, and I took a course where they talked about how people tend to do service and go into these communities and assess the community and provide the service that they think they need, instead of assessing the needs of the community, asking the people in the community, what can we help you with? What can we provide you with? And then you end up being detrimental, and you end up being in the way and providing something that no one really asked for. So it's kind of like counterproductive.
It's like, this is an extreme, but it's like how Tom's Shoes was like donating shoes to Africa, and they were like, oh, we don't really want your shoes. Like, do you have like money or water? Like, that would be sick. Right. You know,
that'd be really cool.
Like, but this like handsome white dude named Tom thought he could save the world with his like crappy shoes, which I was literally wearing today.
Shout out Tom's.
Shout out Tom's.
I think it's important though that you bring up that we like actually really like Putnam Valley, and I think it's important for anybody that listens to this that went to school with us. They could definitely listen to this and be like, this is BS. And because Alex was so loved, and I won prom queen. Like, I really, like, was
I would never win prom queen. That's amazing.
I won prom queen. I was like, I would say quote unquote popular. People
you
liked
were super
me.
Popular.
Yeah, I had a great friend group. Never felt excluded by anybody. Was really loved in great courses. My teachers loved me. But these are things that I reflected on and kind of know now. And I can definitely see someone who kind of, you know, just doesn't think, you know, one of those people that are like, well, my best friend's black, being like, this didn't happen. This was not her reality. But I'm just, as much as I love PV and I love my time there, that was my reality. And I think it's very important to know that I can still love my experience there, but be critical of it. I think that's what you have to do.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's kind of why I want to start this podcast. Like because I know I'm not gonna reach, you know, fucking whoever listens to podcasts worldwide. I'm not Pod Save America, right. But I do want to reach locally so people know. Like, that's why I want to have this episode so badly, because people are so ignorant to the fact, like, I know people will listen to this and be offended, and they probably are not listening anymore.
Absolutely.
They probably turned it off. If they are listening, they probably turned it off 15 minutes in.
Absolutely.
But I need people to know that a perspective other than the white perspective was there.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of the white perspective in Putnam Valley, but I also had this culture that I kind of hid from everyone because all my friends were white and
Right.
whatever. And and it's nothing like everyone, not everyone, but most people, the majority of people treated me with so much kindness.
Yeah,
I
and
know-
respect and love and
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted people to realize that some things were problematic growing
Yeah.
up and
Yeah.
were shitty to say the least. And I want people to realize it now because I didn't realize it when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And I reached out to you because I kind of knew that you didn't realize it growing up either.
Definitely
Because
not.
I would hear things that people would say to you,
Yeah.
even when that short time that we played volleyball together, I don't know, everyone's pretty close, tightly knit, even
Yeah.
if we didn't hang out, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Even
so,
comments on my athleticism, how related
Oh,
to
'cause
my
she's black, that's
yeah,
why.
of course she can jump high. She's black.
Right.
Okay, actually no, but
Right. Yeah. What? Yeah, exactly. It's nothing, because I love going home. I go home all the time
Yeah.
because I'm so close, and it's I like to breathe fresh air. We live I realize I'm not an urban chick.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm from Putnam Valley, born and raised, born in the woods, you know, not actually born in a hospital, but raised in the woods. I love nature. I love all that. It's just it's so conflicting because I would love to raise my children in a place like Putnam Valley.
right.
But then I see,
Geographically.
I'm riding around the hilly roads and I'm this is amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to raise a family here. And then I turn to my left and there's a Trump sign
Yeah.
in the lawn.
Yeah.
And I'm oh. And then I turn to my right and there's another Trump sign in the lawn.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very just,
You
it
can't.
sucks.
I always think about that, and I'm happy my sister is my sister instead of my brother, because with the way things are happening today in this world, I would be, and I fear for her still, and I'm an overly concerned sibling. But I think that I would fear for her that much more if she was an African American male right now, growing up. And I never really feared for my brother that much. Our climate was a little bit different. There just wasn't so much of, there's just been so much with police brutality and mistreatment of African Americans
yeah,
and all
yeah.
of that. But growing up, my brother was super popular. And it's interesting to think about his experience. And I've never had a conversation with him really about it. Or
I know,
we joke.
I would have loved to have him. I should have thought about that. Yeah.
He's a stand-up comedian, so he's funny. We
Yeah.
joke about
Yeah.
all of the things that we used to go through and what people would say, and he even makes jokes about Putnam Valley. So shout out to him. Go watch his sets.
Yeah, I would totally go.
Yeah, he had a very different experience. Also incredibly athletic. My brother's actually smarter than me. I don't like to admit it a lot. I just try a lot
We're
harder.
admitting things today.
We are. This is a moment of
yeah.
truth. He's much more brilliant than me. I just, work really hard to I remember he did his SAT, he took it and he didn't even study, and he got a score.
Wow.
And I took mine and I had studied and I got lower than him. And I took
yeah.
it again. I was like, no,
If
no,
it makes
no,
you feel
no.
any better, I think I failed it, and I think it's an impossible test to fail. So don't worry.
I took it again until I got 10 points higher than him, and then I was like, okay, I'm satisfied. But he had a different experience. He's a conventionally attractive African American man, and the Caucasian women at our school were attracted to him.
Yeah. I definitely think it's a different dynamic.
It's a complete different dynamic. At the same time, although that was positive for him and that was great for him socially and made a lot of friends, at the same time, people looked at him differently for certain things that he did. That it's a problem we have in society today, that if a 15-year-old black male does something, he's a man. This man did this. But if a 25-year-old white male, oh, he's a kid. No.
Right.
And
Yes.
there were definitely things like that happened. And I remember either hearing comments or just like, and I'm like, you don't talk about his peers the way you're talking about him though.
Right.
So it was hard. And I don't know if it ever really like got to him, but I remember like conversely the way he was perceived.
Yeah.
Which was always interesting to me. There's definitely a difference. We're also very different people though, so.
Right. Yeah. And that is interesting. I've noticed that you guys are very different.
Yeah. Like polar opposites.
Yeah.
No, same blood.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about it all the time, and it's frustrates me to no end because my dad has started this thing where he acts like it's not a race thing, and I freak out. But he, in 1 year, was pulled over by the Putnam Valley County Sheriff.
Yeah.
In 11 times in 1 year.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Jesus Christ.
And
wow.
and not once did he get a ticket. That's so obviously it's a race thing.
Oh my
and
gosh.
like, you know, just because he's a suspicious
Right.
Latin man. And one time there's a brief stint where my parents were separated, and we lived. My mother and I lived on Pisco Hollow, and
Yeah.
and he lived on Old Church.
Okay, yeah.
Near Birch Street. And he would come over to like pick me up from school and stuff for school. And he was getting handcuffed outside of my house. And I was like, this is my dad's older. I was like, this is my 66-year-old father at the
Yeah.
time. Like, what did he do?
Yeah.
Like, nothing. The man doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't do anything. Like, he
just lives his life.
He just lives his life. And like, they were just like, oops, sorry, like wrong Spanish guy.
Oh,
and
God.
left. And it's just like,
That's
there's
terrible.
that little of Hispanic people and little people of color in the town that you just like automatically always go to my dad,
Right.
who's like a little brown and olive skinned and looks Spanish. Like,
Yeah.
he looks like a Puerto Rican man. Like, I see people on the subway and like, oh, that's my dad, only not my dad, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like,
Just not actually my dad.
Typically looks like has all the features, but it's just crazy, and it's just so blatant, but a lot of people just don't
Yeah.
realize it, which is
Yeah.
why, again, going back to that, like why I want to have the discussion. And,
Yeah.
like, but
I only got pulled over once in PV. I didn't have a car, so I would sometimes drive my mom's car, or my friends, shout out to them, would drive me everywhere. But I went to Simply Bagels once, which I don't think it's there anymore.
no,
Rest in peace.
God, rest in peace.
Yeah,
So good.
so good. But I just ran to get a bagel and put a hood on, like, because I was like, looked a mess.
Right.
And I was driving back, like passing the town park, and I got pulled over. And I was like freaking out because I was like, it's my mom's car. Like, am I gonna get a ticket? I was just very, very nervous. But then, like, I got back to my driveway and I got back to my house and I looked in I pulled down the mirror and I was like, I look like a black male. Like, because I had my
yeah,
hood
and
up.
you have like masculine features.
Right.
I'm just saying
I
because
have-
I have masculine features.
No, really,
so
I have like a really strong
Yeah,
jawline.
yeah.
Like, I didn't have any makeup. I just looked.
That's what makes you beautiful. That's what I tell myself.
But I was like, oh my God, that's like probably like they were like, why is she around? I'm like,
Right.
I'm getting a bagel because I live in this town.
Right, yeah. And who could resist those
Right.
bagels? But yeah, I mean, yeah, I again, no offense towards anybody. Like, I never want to offend anyone because,
Yeah.
and like I was
not
saying,
the
my
intent.
closest friends to this day, because I didn't really make that many friends in college, are from Putnam Valley.
Yeah.
And they mean so much to me. And like, but could I vouch for Putnam Valley as not being kind of racist at times?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Like, it's just the fact. It's just a matter of the fact. And like, I'm not saying, it's just that it's not like they do things for, not that I'm disconnected from the town a little bit.
Yeah, so am I.
So
Absolutely.
I would love a representative from Putnam Valley to come on. Like, would I love it? I guess. To come on and like talk about like the things they're doing for different communities. But like, I never saw anything for
Yeah.
like any kind of community building with different races.
Yeah.
Or like even like Indian, or there's like a group of Indian, there's an Indian community, there's a Black community, there's a Spanish community, but it's so small that
Yeah.
like all the representatives that, from what I know, I could be wrong,
Let me get Mr. O on the show.
I know. I was actually going to do shout out, but I was like, I don't know if he'd be like, no.
I know. I should have him
He
on.
was great. Seize the day.
Seize the day. He's my neighbor. I should just get him on.
Yeah.
Or from Putnam Valley. Yeah, he lives in East Harlem. Yeah. So, there's not really much diversity in the. Well, I think a Lopez is on the board of something, but but other than that, I don't really see much diversity within any like representatives. So
even celebrating certain milestones now that we were talking about the curriculum earlier. I mean, there was no like Black History Month, facts. We had those things in the hallway where you could have, you could have put something up, or Asian American Heritage Month. Like there were people in the school that could have benefited from seeing that type of representation, even if it's not reflected in the faculty.
Oh yeah.
And I also think there were some class discussions when we were talking about how, which I didn't even realize that none of our teachers were.
I can't actually believe that.
Yeah. I had an Asian teacher, or Asian American, I'm not quite sure what she was. She was great. And then also Latina and Latino.
But no, about Miss Lee because I love Miss
she
Lee.
was so great. Yes. But otherwise, no Black teachers, and there were definitely conversations, especially in U.S. history, where I remember, because they're so vivid to me, that I really could have used a teacher to step in and say, like, that's actually not how you say. First of all, it's not how you say that. Second of all, that's wrong. Like, that is not only offensive, and I will shout out some of my professors that my teachers did say that sometimes when people like said something that was just like, but there were a couple times where it kind of like you just continued the conversation and you kind of just went on with other opinions, and it's like, no, that was actually really offensive and racist and rooted in ignorance and should be corrected right there on the spot. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember my 7th grade social studies teacher, he was showing us a parade and I don't even know what the time period is, but the video was black and white. Yeah. And the KKK was in the parade, and they were just like promoting the KKK. And I was like, I raised my hand, and me and this professor were close. Yeah. Me and this teacher were close. I really respected him a lot, and I still do. But I was like, he was kind of loud and controversial at times. It was a weird thing to say, but he was very he yelled a lot about things, and not at people. He wasn't
just passionate about like his work, and
I was like, you can't do this. Like, this is wrong. Like, they can't do this. And like, cause I didn't ever see anything like that. I was like, this is terrible. Like, they are murderers. Like, that's what I knew. And he was like, freedom of speech, Ray. Like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, so mad. Yeah. I was so mad. But like, looking back, I understand what he was saying. Like, sure, yeah, it's freedom of speech. But I kind of still agree with 7th grade Ray.
And also it's important to add context. Yeah. Like, I hate when when hate speech is spewed from people's mouth and they're like, freedom of speech, but like at University of Maryland, we just had someone murdered by an African-American student. He actually went to Bowie State, but he was murdered on our campus by what seems to be a white supremacist. He's still going through his trials, but he stabbed him to death. So when people say freedom of speech, and he was a graduating senior, he was in the military. He was like, and I hate when people kind of
like fighting for the country that you love so
right.
much.
And I hate when people kind of tell people's background to like humanize. That's not what I'm trying to do here, whether he was in the military or whether he was, just a typical student or his life still mattered. Yeah. But
the white guy was in the military.
No, the black guy was in the military.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But I was saying that, and I didn't want it to make it seem like he was so great because he was in the military. He mattered.
He was great and he mattered. Yeah.
Absolutely. And people say the whole freedom of speech thing, and I was a journalism major. I absolutely believe in freedom of the speech and will fight to protect it at all costs. But when freedom of speech turns into hate speech and it turns into violence, you look at Charlottesville, you look at all these national things that are happening across our nation, that's dangerous. And at that point, you're in a school community, and we have different policies and procedures about what to do to keep us safe. And at some point, freedom of speech leaks over into this is violent.
Yeah.
And this is anti a certain group.
Yes.
And you cannot have that in an academic environment with people of our age. We don't even know how to defend ourselves. I've never thrown a punch in my life.
No, me neither. Oh my God. I've used total trash in a fight. But it's funny that you say that, because so that conversation has always stuck with me. And because I was fighting. I was like yelling at my professor, my teacher, rather. I'm so like stuck on professor. And once Charlottesville happened, it was last summer. Feels so much longer ago, but also not at all. I emailed him. I found his email on like the PV middle school homepage that I hadn't been on since middle school. And I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but one time we had this conversation about this, and you were telling me that the KKK had rights to their, freedom of speech.
Right.
And I was just wondering how you feel about this Charlottesville. And he replied actually right away, and he was like, of course I remember you, and it's awful. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's, freedom of speech only goes so far. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear him say that, because when it's in black and white and it's so long ago, you think freedom of speech, like what black people, there's no more racism, like black people are safe now. And then like now it's the same shit happening, only worse, because like the KKK like we're like just like in a happy parade with other people, and this is like a hate group trying to like
kill people.
Which obviously I'm not saying the KKK deserve to be in that parade. I'm very against that still. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think another thing is, I think some of our teachers, especially, I don't know if I know who you're talking about, but I think I do.
Probably do, yeah.
I feel like sometimes he said some things and other professors would say things to continue the conversation and to intentionally be controversial so other people could weigh in.
Yeah, I believe that's probably what he was doing.
Yeah, and I do think that a lot of our peers would claim to be colorblind as if that's good. And I think that's something people do today. Oh, I don't see color. We raise our kids to not see color. We raise our kids to treat everyone with respect and love everyone and be the same. In theory, it would be nice if we lived in a society where colorblindness worked.
Yes.
We don't. And I think it's important to intentionally teach your children and intentionally spread to your peers and help your peers understand why you cannot be colorblind, why that is actually anti the cause. If you're colorblind, you're not even aware of all of the things that your friends who are minorities and people of color experience, the discrimination, the misconceptions, the perceived notions because of their skin, and you're just not aware of it. And it honestly can impact a friendship. It can make you less understanding, less empathetic, less sympathetic. And it's just so important not to be colorblind. You actively have to fight like structural racism and systems of oppression and the various forms that it shows up within society and at school. And it's just really important to not there's so many things that we as people of color have to care about. It's really important to know that your friends have to do that much more.
Yeah, that's I've had this conversation with so many people, and I feel like this is a common thing within our town or our county, at least, is that like I don't agree with white privilege because I struggle to get where I am. And it's like, that's not the point. Like, everyone struggles in one way or another.
Right.
Like, everyone struggles. But it's like you were never discriminated against because of your color.
Right.
Because of your race.
Absolutely not.
And like, that's just like, Oh, yeah. And the colorblind thing is, I don't think people realize is such a privileged thing.
Absolutely. You don't
And I was-
have to pay attention to certain things
Yeah.
because it doesn't impact your life negatively.
Exactly. I was telling that to a coworker, actually. He was saying that he's colorblind and how he just wants to treat people with respect and love, and yada yada. And it was very kind. Like, he's a sweetheart. And I was like, that's great. Like, you should always treat people with respect.
Right.
But I do think it is kind of a privileged thing to say. Like,
Yeah,
we
it's
are
a
a
cop-out.
society. Yeah, we're a society based on race. And,
Yeah.
and it's just like culture, and that's how we identify. And like, I identify, it's my identity to be a mixed Latina. Like,
Right.
that's like who I am.
Right.
And like, I'm like, embrace that, and you embrace your blackness, and that's who you are.
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
like, I want people to see my color. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want people to be colorblind. And like,
Not anything I would want to
and
hide or.
and I want people to understand the struggles that like everyone has had, but also understand that like it's easier to be white.
Right.
You know?
And it's so much a part of my identity. I think, I don't remember where I heard this from, but there was like some sort of study or some group where they were talking, it was about feminism and how people self-identify, and how a lot of women who aren't women of color will identify themselves as a woman first, and then whatever, other identifier, sexuality or sexual preferences or anything like that after. And I would not, it would be so unnatural to me to identify myself as a woman first, not because I'm not proud of my womanhood. I'm definitely a feminist,
Yeah,
but
sure.
I would always describe myself as a black woman.
Yeah.
I think it's a very different, I'm black first. I always feel more comfortable in black,
And
with.
that, stemming back for our original conversation, I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like that's probably because of our upbringing.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like we tried to, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm this like huge Latina, but that is my culture, part of
Yeah.
my culture.
Yeah.
I am half white, and I'm totally acknowledged I'm half white, and I'm mixed race, but just because I'm mixed race doesn't mean I'm not Latina.
Right.
And I do feel like I embrace that more and more now, because I wasn't allowed per se
Yes. Yeah.
to be openly
Yeah.
Boricua. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And I'm sure that's almost alone. If you were raised in a different environment, I'm sure you would always be black first. But I
Yes.
think it's probably in your mind.
Heightened even more.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And I think that people that went to school with us probably are surprised by how vocal I am. I mean, I joined a predominantly black sorority, and it has like
I'm like, that's why I'm so like pro Alex Givan
Yeah.
on social media, because I just seen your growth throughout from Putnam Valley
Yeah.
to Maryland.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
And our organization was founded. We weren't allowed to be in those social groups and those academic groups when African American women was in college. So
Yeah.
it's an honor to me to be in such a progressive organization with women of color that are doing amazing things, like really amazing, and it's such a great network. But I think that, yeah, it's just so important. It just really shaped me. And I think of some stuff so differently. And I think that people that see me now are probably like, this is not even the same girl. And I've had acquaintances from middle school and high school that I've either unfriended or unfollowed, or I'm no longer, of course, if I saw them on the street, I would be respectful and I would say hi to them.
Yeah.
But they don't understand who I've become, and I'm totally okay with that. And I think that it's not, like I said to my sister, it's not my job to explain to you why I'm so vocal
Yeah.
about, everything that I'm vocal about and everything that I'm passionate about. You should know that by me being, inherently know that by me being a black woman, I'm going to have certain views on things, and I'm going to be passionate, and I'm going to be an advocate.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm going to be very anti, if you have
Hate.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just at the end of the day, it's anti-hate
Yeah.
and hate rhetoric and
Yes.
yeah,
And discrimination, all of it.
And that's, I don't know much about, going back to that, I don't know much about politics, and
Yeah.
I want to learn on this podcast and everything more. But what I do know is that the people in the White House right now promote hatred.
Yes.
And that's why I kind of hate them.
Yeah.
You know? So
And in turn,
there's just a lot of hate going around.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So
yeah.
no offense, Putnam Valley.
Yeah. You were great.
No offense, but
Right. And I still have, I do have white friends from college as well. I was in that living and learning program, which was extremely diverse.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of great friends who think more like me than like, it was so refreshing to meet people that weren't minorities and people of color, but genuinely had the same passion and advocacy
Right.
and knew how to be an ally and knew how to use
you
their
don't have to have
privilege.
like extreme white that's
Yes,
the thing.
yes.
That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people a lot of people that I know from our hometowns understand is that you don't have to be a social justice warrior.
No, not at
I'm
all.
using hand quotes. Like you don't have to have this white guilt. Like
Right.
You just be a human being
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
understand people and like hear people. And again, that's why I'm having this podcast, because I want to hear people and understand more. And like, yeah, I think that's the misconception a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not crazy. It's just really not a crazy concept to just like have mutual respect and like don't say shitty things.
Right.
And like,
and don't do crappy things. And I think that I hope some people that needed to hear this. I mean,
I know, me too.
and kind of reflect. I mean, we've done years of reflection clearly, but
Yeah.
I hope that if someone's kind of in the same space mentally and they don't think that the things that they said have impacted other people, they have.
They have,
I was
totally.
talking to you very candidly before about some of the nicknames that I allowed my friends,
Mm-hmm.
not even my acquaintances, my really good friends to call me,
Yeah.
guys and girls, and didn't see a problem with it.
yeah, exactly.
And they used them as terms of endearment,
Mm-hmm.
and I just would never ever.
Which is
I
so
can't even. It
wild.
like makes me.
Yeah.
And I told you, I'm like, it's a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like grown up and my views have changed so much, and I'm just so much more vocal and can express myself, I'm just like, it might be too late, but I just want to text that person and be like, do you remember you used to call me that
Yeah.
as a term of endearment?
And like, hopefully, I know probably a decent amount haven't grown, but I hope I want to think the best of people, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
And like, I just hope that people have reflected in some
Yeah.
way and have learned and have broken that wall of ignorance.
Yeah.
And have
Yeah.
just seen that, oh yeah, what I did act like
Was,
was
like,
kind of
not
shitty.
okay.
Because
Yeah.
I've stepped back, and maybe it's because I'm around a way more diverse crowd now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, or maybe just because I've reflected on my own culture and myself
Absolutely.
and whatever, growth. But I don't know, I've realized things that I've said and the things that my peers have said around me, and
Right.
you know, I've grown from it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And every day I'm learning. I'm sure I'll listen to this podcast and I'll be like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Why'd you say that?
I'm always scared of that too. I'm like, ugh.
I know. But
yeah.
we have work tomorrow.
Yes, we do.
And it's 10:30, which
head
isn't
back to
crazy.
DC tomorrow.
Oh my God. I know. You're a long. So thank
Yes.
you so much for doing
Yeah,
this.
of course. This was great.
I'm so happy. I hope I get to see you again in
Yeah,
person. Let's go
of course.
out next time.
Have a
Get
drink.
Okay. I'm gonna